And you have a theme. Okay.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. We are back with the Queen Q&A session, and today we have a very interesting person that we are going to interact with. Deepa Chandrasekaran. She is the founder and CEO of Engage2Transform. She is a career accelerator expert, and she's also an author of Career Accelerator Formula. So, Deepa, can you share a little bit about yourself and about your journey?
Sure. So, hello everyone. This is Deepa here, like Neha said. So, I'm based out of Hyderabad, which is the southern part of India. And my journey is very interesting because I started off as a corporate professional. So, I was a Java developer when I started my career. And then I grew into the leadership role. I enjoyed working with people, engaging with people. So, that's what I loved. And I stayed in the corporate for close to 2 decades, post which there was a different calling for me. So I left my corporate career at a very senior role. I was last working with Capgemini. And then I left that journey in 2017 and then started my own consulting firm called Engage2Transform. So right now I call myself a career acceleration expert, and I work with corporate senior leaders, mid-level leaders, business owners, helping them overcome all kinds of career challenges, internal, external roadblocks which are not allowing them to build and live the life of their dreams. So that's what I do. It's been amazing last 5 years. I celebrated my 5th year anniversary as an entrepreneur this year. So I'm so happy. Neha, thank you for giving me this opportunity and being able to share my journey and experience with everyone here.
Thanks, Deepa, for being here, and we are very excited because you are definitely going to be an inspiration to a lot of women out here. The reason why being is because our main vision and mission is to accelerate women's careers. So definitely that's something that we are looking out as advice from you. And along with that, clearing these roadblocks. I think we all come across these roadblocks. So first, I
Absolutely.
think I want to ask personally in terms of how did you go about finding your calling and understanding that this is not, I mean, after 2 decades it's a long time. So tell us a little bit first about your personal experience first.
Sure. So I was enjoying my corporate journey, and essentially, what I have built as an entrepreneur is on top of what I did in corporates. So how I moved and how I recognized my calling was being extremely self-aware. So I've always been a person who's open to opportunities, and I got this fantastic opportunity in Capgemini to train people. I was part of their university. I was doing training sessions for leadership teams, whatever internal opportunities I used to get. And once I did a 5 day session all alone. And at the end of 5 days, instead of being exhausted, I was exhilarated. I was like extremely happy, although I had stood for 5 continuous days and, engaged the audience there. So then I said, something is working for me and I need to figure out what this is. At that time, it was also getting a little monotonous. I was doing the same thing again and again. And I realized I need to figure out what's next. So I started doing my workshops, I started getting certified. I did all of those things, but the biggest thing was I took a risk, quit, and then said, we'll see what happens. So sometimes I think you just have to hear your gut, you have to hear your intuition. You just have to take the first step, and then the path, reveals itself. So that's how I got into this, and it's been amazing. It's worked for me.
Great. I think you covered a lot of points in one, in basically saying that you were self-aware, you got self-aware of what was going around you, within you. Then the second is about actually you skilled yourself a little bit more to
Yes,
actually do what you really wanted to do and took the risk. I think these were the three takeaways already that I got from this, which are
fantastic.
phenomenal because that's what is required definitely to uh, do something new, to take that risk. So
Yes.
yeah. In our majority of the audience that we have, their major roadblock is a career break. So,
Hmm.
how do you think? Like, do you think career breaks are still like viewed negatively, or how do you think we should overcome them? If you can, shed more light on that.
Sure, sure. Yeah, career breaks are real, and especially for women because we undergo so many challenges, and we have, the expectation, the default expectation from a woman is to be a caregiver, whether it is for your children, whether it is for the seniors, your parents, or your in-laws. So we have to take care, and that puts us in a very unique position where we do struggle with career breaks and how to come back from career breaks. So they are real. And also, what you said, the connotation around career breaks is not very positive. So it is a challenge to come back from career breaks. But having said that, the world is shifting. The times are changing. There are a lot of opportunities which were never there before. So I think, more than worrying about what people are saying around career breaks or whether I will get an opportunity or not, that's not in our hands. What's in our hands is how do I prepare myself when I am going to come back after a career break. So
Right.
we need to be very clear about the focus. And I very strongly believe, Neha, that clarity gives us a lot of power. So, we need to know what is the right time. Do I want to come back? And if I want to come back, then we don't have to just perform at work after we come back. There's a lot of things that we have to do. We have to, the prep that is needed before you come back, the interviews that we have to face and handle and answer the questions in the right manner. And then we are going to get into a community of people who have been working while you were on a break. So it involves a lot of commitment. It definitely involves hard work. But I would say that there are a lot of opportunities, and there is no dearth of, there's no reason why people cannot come back and succeed after a career break. So that's my 2 cents around this whole topic of, career breaks and women.
Right. So besides being career ready after the break, there are also other issues that involve in terms of loss of confidence. So, for example,
Yeah,
when you say they should have the clarity, right? But how do you go about bringing that clarity? Because you absolutely probably do not have the confidence or support, external support as well, or internal within yourself. You do not know if you can do it. So
yeah.
now, are there any steps or strategies that you can do to actually get there to even believe that you're ready?
Yeah. So that's a very, very good question. And I'll give my example because I'm a mother. I have a 18-year-old daughter now, but she was born at some point. So I also took a break of about 10 to 11 months. And it was difficult for me to come back. And I'm talking about, 2003, 2004. That was like 18 years back. The IT industry had not evolved. People were still not, we didn't have as much diversity. So there were different problems at that time. So what works and what worked for me was a strong support system. My daughter was just 10 months old when I decided to come back to work, and I had a full-time maid at home. My brother, my father, my husband, I just enlisted everybody to take care of her while I was not at home. So the biggest fear that women have is, what if I go back to work and my kid is not taken care of, or or what will people say, or what will, back at home, they will say that she's not a good mom, because maternity breaks are the biggest and the most prominent breaks that women have. So build a support system. That's the first step that we have to do. A personal support system as well as a professional support system. And I'll talk about professional support system a little bit later. But it's very important to enlist the support of people. Feel free to leave your kid and responsibilities with others.
Yeah.
Don't feel guilty about it. A lot of women have this guilt feeling, if I'm a working mom, is my kid getting the attention that that he or she deserves. So I would say a happy working mom is much better than a frustrated stay home mom. So so some steps to answer your question is, get a support system, investigate the market before you are ready to get back. For whatever reason you have taken a break, because things change and things are changing rapidly. So you will not be able to survive with the same skill sets that you had when you took a break. So it's important to keep upgrading yourself. Third, build a professional network of people, like-minded people whom you can go to seek help and talk about what you're going through and where you are planning to come back in. And the fourth is also reassess your likes now, because it might happen that what you love doing, whatever number of months or years back, is not what you want to do when you come back again, right? So it's important to know where should I enter, what kind of organizations, and what do I want to do next. So rebuild your career from there, and that's going to be absolutely useful.
Great. I think that's great tips to get that clarity. I think
Yes.
and support system, definitely I completely agree, because even for me personally, without the support system, I wouldn't be where I am, and that's the fact. I mean, we have to just live with the fact that it's we can't do it alone. We need the
Yes.
whole entire army around us to make sure that what we want to do achieve with the support that we should be taking, and not feel guilty about it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. That guilt feeling is one of the biggest thing that I've heard from women, not just while coming back from career breaks, but also while they're working. They don't leave their teams and go back home because they want to be there for their teams when the team is logging it out. It doesn't work like that. We need to understand that we have to delegate. We can't do it all. We are not superwoman. So it just makes no sense to pose at a superwoman because it can be very draining.
Right. So, okay. So now that we have the clarity, now if we go a step further in terms of being ready, right? In terms of the first interview after a break, or how to go about preparing for it, how to be confident enough. What would be your tips in terms of even to explain a career break to an organization? You've worked for such a long, so what do you think companies are looking for, or the explanation that is required, in terms of why the break and what was done in that break?
Yeah, yeah. That's a very important question, and it needs a lot of attention and preparation before we even go and attend our first interview, because we don't want to hide what happened, and we don't want to be apologetic about taking a career break, because it was a very conscious decision. So we need to own that up. That's the first step. So when we become comfortable with that career break and what we have done in that career break, then be ready to go out there and talk about it. You don't need to spend 30 minutes explaining your career break in an interview, but you don't need to hide it in your profile, and you don't need to hide it when you're talking to the interviewer. Having said that, LinkedIn also is a great platform where I would really appreciate and recommend everyone to have their LinkedIn profile, because that's the platform where almost all hiring managers and recruitment agencies are looking for people. So go out there, put it on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is now giving us an opportunity to add career break as a professional experience. Now that's a great thing that has happened, because it is making everything legal. There's nothing illegal about having a career break. So the first step is you become ready with your career break. Be accepting of what has happened. Second, don't hide it. Don't be apologetic about it. The third thing is, whatever career break we have taken, whether it is for our kids, whether it is for serving our parents or in-laws, or just taking a break for mental sanity and upgrading ourselves, upskilling ourselves, I'm sure there are learnings during that break which you can talk about in your interviews and share how that has made you a better person,
Yeah,
right? So when we start looking at what we have done in the last 8 months, 9 months, 1 year, 2 years, some people have taken 5 year breaks as well. There's so much to share of how we have grown as a person and how we can talk about those things in the interview, right?
definitely.
And also what we can do is do volunteering activities, join internships. There are organizations which are welcoming women back from break and having mentorship programs to help them come back into the workforce. So like I said, we just need to be aware, cognizant, and be ready, and not apologetic about what has happened. That is the first step towards coming back from a break.
Definitely. That's a great advice. I actually also wanted to take that a little further in terms of, once you are already working, for example, right? There is a whole lot of work pressure which you might not be used to because of the break that you have come from. So, do you think companies need to probably have a separate program or certain different way to handle this, or what's your thoughts or opinion on how to get them all adjusted in the new environment and everything that will go on around, because we don't want a burnout really soon as well. So
Yeah.
What is your suggestion on that?
Yeah. So like I was saying earlier, it's important to prepare before you get into the corporate world again, because one of the perceptions that people have, and that's the skepticism that is created, is that uh, women coming back from break will not have as much commitment and accountability. That's the most common reason of why people are so skeptical about hiring women after a break. It could be a new mom, it could be newly married, it could be you just relocated for your husband. So the what's going on in the mind of hiring managers is she going to leave again? Is she going to go back again? Will she be able to spend the time that is needed to deliver the projects? And it's a competitive world. It is a competitive world. We have to understand that. So I would recommend, when you are appearing for the interview, ask the questions that matter to you. And to ask the right questions, you need to be prepared about what's the priority for you in your life right now. So if you can work for 4 hours, ask them if there's a possibility if you can work for 4 hours. Don't promise 8 hours and then be visible for only 4 hours,
Right.
right? So in order for us to land where we can give our best, we need to know where to land. And hence, we need to understand our needs and then ask those kind of questions in the interview. You're doing yourself a favor, and you're doing the organization where you're joining back a favor by asking these questions, right? The second tip is, it's okay to seek help from the people around you. There's a beautiful story that I would like to share here. It's so there was a man and a boy who were going through the woods, through the jungle, and this boy saw a big log in front of him, and they could not cross it because it was stopping them from going across the jungle. So he said, he told to his father, how are we going to now? We can't jump over it and we can't cross it. So the father said, why don't you use all the resources you have to move this log, and then we will cross over and we'll jump across. So the boy tried hard. He used all his strength. He tried to push the log, but it did not move because it was very, very heavy. So he looked up to his father and said, Dad, I tried everything. I used all my strength, but it's just not moving. So the dad said, no, I told you use all your resources. And he said, Dad, I'm using all my resources. It's not moving. So dad said, did you forget that I am also your resource? Did you ask me to help you to move the log? Right?
That's
And
so
then
true.
both of them used their resources to push the log. So
Exactly.
the reason I'm sharing this is, there are a lot of people who are ready to help us, but we are very skeptical about asking for help. We have to normalize asking for help. I remember when my daughter was very, very young, she used to go to a creche in my office only, and I used to have late night calls at 8 o'clock, 8:39. I was a delivery leader handling accounts and team and all of that stuff. I used to ask two of my team members to look after her,
Oh wow.
right? I said that is the responsibility of you have to take care of her. And they used to engage her by letting her draw on whiteboards and take her around the floor and do all kinds of things, get her a samosa, something,
Right.
right? So we have to use the resources and we have to seek help. Help is available.
Yeah. And do you think now that pandemic has gone, we have gone through this whole work from home culture and everything, do you think that has actually made things better or gotten worse for women? What is your take on it?
So actually, during the pandemic, and a lot of data and research says that a lot of women had to leave their jobs during the pandemic because they didn't have any kind of support system. Maids not coming, creches not open, schools closed, so they just couldn't manage. And like I said, being the caregivers, they were responsible for taking care of everything, right? So I've, based on data, a lot of women gave up, but the heartening thing is they're coming back. So they're coming back, and a lot of women have actually turned entrepreneurs during COVID
Yeah.
because they could not go back to work, and they could not work for that 8-9 hours. They have used that flexibility to discover their passions and start their own businesses.
Yeah. And
And
also,
to
I
us,
mean, the whole work from home culture, I think that's
yes, that's a
completely
very
changed.
encouraging thing.
Yeah.
So I think, to answer your question, it has eased up a lot of things because now we have the flexibility to work in a hybrid mode. We can go to office, we can work from home, you can work from any location literally. And organizations are setting up offices in the smaller places so you can be with your support system, your in-laws, your parents, and still work,
So
right?
that's a huge roadblock block that we've already overcome, I feel, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, actually, I want to ask more about your book. Tell us more in terms of what it's about, and so that everybody actually can know a little more and definitely also order where it's available and how we can go about ordering it.
Sure. So this is my book. It's called the Career Accelerator Formula. So I run a program called Career Accelerator Formula. It's a program that I've created, which I run with corporate leaders to help them overcome career blocks. And this is based on that same program. So this talks about a step-by-step system of how you can overcome your internal as well as external blocks. So, how to build the right mindset, how to build the right belief systems, how to build some skills like time management, influencing, personal branding. All of these skills are mandatory to move forward in our career. So, this can be a very, very handy book if you're looking to return back to work because it'll set you up with the right mindset. And if we have the time, I would like to read another story that I had written in this book, and it would help women relate to what I am saying. Is that okay? Do we have
Yeah,
time?
definitely. Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to read it from here, and and then we'll see what that story says.
Sure.
So one day, a giant ship engine failed. The ship's owners tried one expert after another, but none of them could figure how to fix the engine. Then they brought in an old man who had been fixing ships since he was young. The old man inspected the engine carefully. After looking things over, the old man reached into his bag and pulled out a small hammer. He gently tapped something. Instantly, the engine lurched to life. He carefully put his hammer away and went home. The engine was fixed. A week later, the owners received a bill from the old man for $10,000. What? The owners exclaimed. He hardly did anything. So they wrote to the old man a note saying, "Please send us an itemized bill." So the man sent a bill that read, "Tapping with a hammer, $2. Knowing where to tap is $9,998." So mastering your craft puts you in a position of power. Like they say, you have to sharpen the saw. If the saw is blunt, we cannot cut the trees. So,
Right.
so my book talks about everything that is needed to help you sharpen your saw as you come back into the industry, or even if you've been working, how to move forward, step ahead, and differentiate yourself from everybody else who's working along with you.
Sounds like a roadmap that we can use for just going about in terms of your own career. Yeah, definitely interesting. It's available on Amazon.
Amazon, the stock is over. So, for the people who are on Queen right now, if you send me a message on LinkedIn or just email me, I'll personally sign it for you and courier it to you. And, while it is coming up on Amazon. So, it should be available in Amazon in a week or so.
Oh,
Kindle is
great.
available. So you can still order Kindle. Yeah.
So great. You can definitely, I mean, everybody who's watching, definitely send in your email ID and we can definitely get that book delivered for you. So
Absolutely.
that would be nice. Now, we will move on to open to questions for the audience. But before that, one last advice that you would like to give to everyone who's watching.
Yeah. So I work with a lot of women leaders, and I have seen that the biggest roadblock is the self doubt that we all have. All of us have this imposter syndrome, which is constantly running in our mind and saying, "Oh, you can't do this. It was just fluke. You don't deserve this kind of happiness and and the success and the money or anything of that kind." So my earnest request to everybody who's here today is to believe in yourself, stand up for yourself, because when you stand up for yourself and you own your own strengths, then the world will stand up for you. So instead of expecting everyone to support us, can we support ourselves? Because we matter, and we are 50% of the population on this planet. So we better do what we are supposed to do, right? And if
Definitely.
I may, Neha, I would like to read a poem by Marianne Williamson, which just touches my heart every time I read it. And
Yes,
I'm sure a lot of women will be able to relate to it.
definitely.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
So
Yeah.
This is the name of the poem is Our Deepest Fear. It is by Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Wow, I'm inspired, and I'm
Thank you.
sure everyone here is as well.
Yeah,
Thanks so much. Actually, we have a lot of questions, so I think let's cover that as well. So I'll
sure.
just read out one by one after the other. So Archit Mittal is asking, I'm thinking about taking a career break, but I have only 1 year of experience, and thus I'm not an expert in one particular thing. Can you give me some clarity where I should take the step, or should I wait for this break?
Okay, Archit, you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Archit, I would, you need to know what you want to do in that career break. So, since you've just 1 year into the industry, it's important to know what you're going to do and for how long do you plan to take this break. And if it is something useful, it could be for studies, it could be for something that you want to build your passion, it could be a startup that you want to create for your own. Why not? I strongly believe that it's okay to experiment and it's okay to see what lies ahead. But like I said, have a clear plan so that you are not you have left the corporate and you don't know what to do next. That's not something that you would want to do just 1 year into the industry. So that's what my recommendation would
Um, there's one more, Priya Rawat. She's asking, I already quit the job to look after my kid and to come back with a fresh start after some time, but everyone around me taking it negatively. So it's getting depressing for me now. So,
be. Yeah. That's a very, very common problem that I've heard from a lot of women. And here is where you have to become mentally strong. And, we women, especially, have been conditioned so much by what others expect from us. Right from the beginning, right from our childhood, we've been told to look after others. We've been told to sacrifice. We've been told to be, flexible and compromise. But it's your life, and I would encourage you to be strong, seek help if you have to, work with a coach, and if you're feeling depression or those kind of things, feel free to work with a therapist. There's a lot of help around right now, but you will have to overcome those obstacles to go back to work, and it's okay to do that. We all do that. It just needs a little bit of strength, and it needs a lot of passion and clarity about what do you want and where do you want to be. So it's normal. It's not just happening with you, it happens with everyone, right? So build
definitely.
that self-esteem, build that confidence, and go out there.
Yeah, you made a great point by saying that seek out for a counselor as well if that's what
Yes.
is required, like a therapist or anything. I think it's important to reach out and take that help for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. You are not alone. One more thing, Neha, that I would like to add here is, it's very important to have a network of girls like you. So if you're a new mother, find new mothers who are struggling through the same challenges. And sometimes that network becomes your biggest asset in terms of solving these challenges. And you'll not feel alone, right? And don't shy away from giving your kid to your husband or to your in-laws, whatever your support system is, and just take a break,
Yeah.
right? Those things are extremely important for mental sanity because kids can drive us crazy. So yeah,
Yeah. I have a 9-year-old. Tell me about it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Prabha Srivastav, she's asking, can you talk for break other than maternity also? Like basically share insights in terms of other breaks that people take, maybe for other reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of breaks that people are taking right now. So maternity is like for women especially, but for I know a lot of guys who actually take break for upskilling, for finishing their education, for moving to the next level. So that's one kind of break. The other kind of break is you want to look after your ailing parents. They need support system at home. They have some kind of a disease during their old age, and they need dedicated care. So there are people who are taking breaks for that. There are people who are taking breaks just for having fun. I know people who have taken break and they've gone on a world tour.
Yeah,
Why not? Right? Because that's an important part of living. So, and these things are becoming more and more acceptable in today's industry. That's what I would like to emphasize. And it's just not women taking breaks, it's like equal. Even guys are there who are like Archit was the first person who said 1 year into the industry and he all wants to take a break.
yeah.
So breaks can be for any reason. They are acceptable. You just need to plan ahead, work through the break, learn few skills, and then go back and talk about your break.
Great. One last question before we wrap up. Shalaka Redditch, she's asking, "Hi, do you think women really get good job after break?"
Yes, I can vouch for that because I took a break and came back, and if I share the story, this was the first interview, and like I said, your support system works. So what happens is, Shalaka, that when you are taking a break, you fall into a comfort zone. It's easy. There's no boss, there's nobody asking any questions, you don't have any deliverables, there are no milestones, so you are actually enjoying the time off, and that becomes a comfort zone for most of us. And I'll share my story here. So I was on a 10-month break when my daughter was born, and it was great spending time with her, and I actually did not want to go back to work because you always have your spouse working, right? So what happened to me was my sister pushed me. She said, you've been such an exceptional student, you had such a fantastic job, it doesn't make sense for you to sit at home. So you need people around you who can also push you back a little bit, right? So, and I went to this first interview. The salary that I asked for, they actually offered me 50% more than that.
Wow,
So, like I read the story, if you heard the story, if you have quality, if you have content, if you are confident, if you have the right mindset, if you can talk about your career growth in the right way, if you're prepared enough for the interview, there's no reason why you will not get a good job.
definitely. I think Shalaka, just to add to that as well, that a good job, a definition of a good job is also a very relative, because depending on where you, what experience you've had in the past, and what are you looking for in the new job that you're looking at, right? So sometimes you might have to make compromises in the skill set, or the JD that you are going to profile that you're going to opt for, and sometimes the salary might be. But it's not just for the people on break. I think it's the case with
Yes,
everybody who
absolutely.
are also continuing to work. So you have to make those choices and take it forward. And definitely we are here at Queen also to help you find that right job. So
And like
do
we
reach
say,
out.
the need analysis before you even start the search for a job is extremely important. So you need to have very clear prioritization of what's my first thing, which is a must have. Then what are the good to haves, and what are like things that I can compromise, right?
Exactly.
So at any stage when you're going and looking for a job, a very clear need analysis for yourself before you even start the job search. I think that's crucial to landing the right kind of job.
Definitely. All right, that brings us to the end of this live session, and it was really a great pleasure having you here, Deepa. And I hope you also had as much good time as much as I and our audience did. So thank you so much for everything, and your insights were great. We hope that we can have more sessions with you again in the future, more specific related to how to go about the strategies, and how they can accelerate better in maybe individual sessions. So definitely we look forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed myself thoroughly sharing my stories and journey and experience. So happy to be here, and I would be more than happy to come back again and share my experience. So Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thanks.